If you're a CEO, entrepreneur, or business owner that can't seem to figure out what is blocking you from attaining the next level of growth in your business, then listen up. I'm Maria De Lorenzo Reyes. I've taken what I've learned in 30 years working inside multi-million-dollar corporations, building my own business, and consulting my clients, and discovered 5 themes that stop a business from scaling. I've created a tool to help you get the answers you need to get unstuck and unlock the next level of growth. Head over to scale.mariadr.com and click the link to get your custom Scale Factor Formula scorecard when this episode is over. On this special episode of Leadership Revisited, we have for you key insights and takeaways from all the leadership episodes that I've done in the past. You know I talk about rebel leadership, and that means great leadership for good. Rebel leadership doesn't mean being a crazy person. Rebel leadership means stepping away from a model of leadership that has been embedded in our system and doesn't work. And that also means pointing out when leaders are following a style that doesn't work and ensuring that that doesn't get entrenched and inserted back into our ecosystem. This episode aims to give you insights and guidance on great leadership takeaways and what it means to be a great leader. I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. You know, I think both of us as non-traditional leaders, we both had our own unique approaches and things we did. But what do you think was the most important thing that you brought to your team that traditional leaders might not? And maybe you already said it, but I'll give you the opportunity to answer the question.
Humanity, I think. You know, I was real with them. I was real with them. I tried to be as real as possible.
I agree.
Open communication. Yeah. My door's always open. Yeah. You come in here, you tell me what you need, how I can help get that done.
Yep.
And also, I think that they saw that I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty.
Yeah, you were in there with them.
I was in there with them. You know, that was, I guess, part of it.
Yeah,
big part.
For sure. I would agree with that. And I think, you know, humanity, I mean, I love that answer. Let's celebrate that because you are dealing with humans, right? And it's amazing that a lot of people lose sight of that the only way to motivate a human is you've got to get to know them. Absolutely. And you've got to care about them. Mm-hmm. And that's like a word that never belonged in management before. Care. And I got to get to know them. And we have to talk about feelings.
No.
You're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with human beings. And I think, you know, and I love, obviously, there's a lot of thought leaders on leadership that I'm sure you respect as well. Like Brene Brown talks about authentic and, leadership and being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, in the business corporate think, what was always so poo-pooed. It was like, no, we have to be this way. Like, we're dealing with human beings. And the only way you can motivate somebody is to connect. And the only way you can connect is to be a human yourself and be vulnerable.
To open up to them. Yeah.
Resilience. Great leaders remain resilient in the face of adversity. They maintain composure and clarity of vision, serving as beacons of stability in those turbulent times. Innovation is a second trait. Innovation is the critical driver of success in tumultuous periods. If we look at the past 3 years, those companies that used innovation and were able to adapt and pivot to the uncharted territory were the ones that came out thriving. Great leaders foster a culture of creativity and are open to change and new ideas. Being an infinite learner. The world evolves, and so must leaders. Continuous learning and embracing being an infinite learner and being committed to personal growth are essential for staying relevant and effective. And lastly, cultural adaptability. The ability to adapt and foster a culture of adaptability within an organization is key to thriving during adversity. It's key to thriving in all times, but particularly when there's disruption. Leaders must set the tone for an environment that embraces change and innovation. Now let's talk about applying these CEO insights in your life. While these lessons are derived from the business world, they are equally applicable in our personal lives as well. We can use these insights to become more resilient and effective leaders in our own world. Let's talk about resilience in your personal life. Just as CEOs need resilience to lead companies through adversity, we need resilience to navigate personal challenges and setbacks. Innovation. We also need that in everyday life. The concept of innovation isn't limited just to business. We can apply innovative thinking to solve personal problems and explore new opportunities and find opportunities in the challenges we face. That's what this podcast is all about.
What does leadership mean to you? Right? And one of the things we believe in, our definition of leadership, which you've heard me share this with you, and I try to be a demonstration of this, every time you and I work together, is number one, your ability to enroll others into a bigger vision of what's possible. Number two, your willingness to challenge them more than they've ever felt challenged while supporting them more than they've ever felt supported. And number three, being what I said earlier about being a demonstration of what you teach. Right? And so let's, definition number one, your ability to enroll others into a bigger vision of what's possible. We've all done that for someone. And if we all think back, we all have someone who's done that for us in our lives, right? Without this person seeing more that was possible for us than we could see for ourselves. If you really think back, and maybe let's do it, right? Think back to someone who has done this for you. It's like, wow. And you've probably been that for someone else unintentionally. So what if we did that intentionally? Right? What if we didn't look at leadership as, okay, I'm just an admin person at this financial firm. I'm not a leader. It's like, no, you are. Right? You lead people. You lead your family, and at work, you lead people whether you know it or not. It's just a matter of, is it intentional or unintentional? So if we can get intentional about one thing, I want to help others see a bigger vision of what's possible. Like, how can I do that today? Right? See, like, the power that could be behind that.
Well, why don't we, you suggested it, so why don't we go back? Who was it that did that for you? And you might have multiple people, but if you could share, if you will, a story of who did that for you.
So the first I have two people, and the first one that comes to mind is my father. My father is an Italian immigrant, came to this country, worked with his hands, and his leadership was very unintentional and indirect. When I think back to what he's done for me, his leadership came from, it was very much tough love when it needed to be, and it also came from the lack of stepping up, and I don't mean that in a bad way. His leadership came from how he let me go and he let me experience things and wasn't trying to be in control. And that also leads into the second person, which is Chris Smith. Chris helped me see more that was from the moment we met. He saw more that was possible for me than I could ever see for myself. And my team and I just had this conversation today. What Chris did for me was he would consistently ask me, what did I want? What did I want in the next 5 years? What was important to me? Business-wise, financially, family. What are some trips that I want to experience in the next few years? Like, he asked me these questions and we would talk about it. And, I was like, okay, that was cool. It's cool to talk about that, and it got us connected. But he doesn't forget. And so then he would throw me into uncomfortable situations. And I was super uncomfortable. There were things I didn't want to do, but I always did it because I followed his lead.
Very interesting.
On the other side of that discomfort, there was always more possibility. On the other side of that discomfort, I became a better leader. I became, made more impact for our clients. There was so much more that happened. And so now it's like, because of that leadership and because he is always willing to see a bigger vision of what's possible for me and speak possibility into me, every time the discomfort comes up now, it's almost like muscle memory. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very strange because I was in a very comfortable place, kind of built my business, and it was easy to get complacent, and that's not where I am now. And living in the discomfort, I owe that to Chris and my team, and we talk about constantly making your current ceiling your new floor. Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I thank you for sharing both of those experiences. All right, so I hope you loved this episode and found it valuable. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you'd be so kind, if you know someone else that this will help, please share this episode with them. Just grab a link for this specific episode, text it to a friend or colleague so it can help more people like you. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you next time for more entrepreneurial goodness. Same time, same place on the Finding the Upside podcast.